Chapter 6 Mystery Man. Plato and Jack hurried past the crowds standing at the sides of the racetrack. Everyone was shouting and cheering. "I have seats next to the judges," said Plato. He pointed to a tall stand with rows of benches. Plato led Jack through the crowd and up the steps to their seats. "Wow, thanks," said Jack. He had a great view. The Olympic parade had already started. Musicians playing pipes were at the front. Behind them marched the Olympic athletes, the best in all of Greece. Jack sighed as he watched the parade going around the track. "Annie would really love this," he thought. "The athletes in front are the runners," said Plato. "Foot races are the oldest event of the Olympics." Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, "Oldest event is foot races. Behind the runners are the boxers," said Plato. "They're wearing special gloves and bronze helmets." Jack wrote, "Boxers wore gloves and helmets. Behind them are the wrestlers," said Plato, and Jack wrote wrestlers. When Jack looked up again, he saw a soldier staring up at him from the sidelines. The soldier was dressed like the actor from the outdoor theater. He had on a long cape and a red crested helmet that covered most of his face. But something was strange. This soldier was short, really short. "Here come the discus and javelin throwers," said Plato. "And then the men in armor. What do they do?" asked Jack. "They race wearing full armor," said Plato. Jack smiled to himself. He knew Annie would think that was funny. He wrote in his notebook, "Some runners race in armor." Jack finished writing. He looked back at the short soldier. "In a moment, the chariot races will begin," said Plato. "Winning a chariot race is the greatest honor of the games." Jack just nodded. He was still studying the short soldier, who seemed to be looking back at him. Suddenly, a small hand came out from the soldier's cape. The hand gave a little wave. Jack gasped. It was Annie's hand waving. The short soldier was Annie. Chapter 7 Go, go, go! Jack stared in horror at Annie. She must have borrowed a costume from the theater. He remembered Plato's words. "A girl will get in terrible trouble, if she tried to attend the Olympic Games." Jack shook his head at her and pointed his finger as if to say, Get out of here. But Annie just waved at him again. Jack kept shaking his head at Annie. He even shook his fist. Annie turned back to watch the race. "It's not a joke!" Jack shouted. Plato turned and looked at him. "Of course not," said Plato. "We take the games very seriously." Jack felt his face grow hot. He glared at Annie's back. Just then, the trumpet sounded. "The chariots are taking their places," said Plato. Jack saw the dozens of chariots lined up on the racetrack. Each chariot was pulled by 4 horses. Jack glanced back at Annie. She was looking up at him, pointing at the chariot. The trumpet sounded again. The horses took off. The crowd went wild. They were cheering and screaming and stamping their feet. Clouds of dust rose up as the chariot raced around the track. Annie turned back to watch the race. She began jumping up and down. "Go, go, go!" she shouted. A few people began staring at the strange small soldier with the high-pitched voice. Jack couldn't take it anymore. He had to get Annie away before it was too late. He shoved his notebook into his bag. "I have to go," he shouted to Plato. The philosopher looked surprised. Jack was afraid to tell him that Annie had broken the rules. "I had a great time, but I have to go home now," said Jack. "Thanks for everything." "Have a safe journey," said Plato. Jack waved and started down the steps. As he climbed down, he saw Annie pull off her helmet. Her pigtails flew up and down as she jumped and shouted, "Go, go, go!" Her soldier's cape fell off. Now lots of people were staring at her. Someone shouted for the girls. Annie was too busy cheering to notice anything. Jack moved as quickly as he could, but two big girls got to Annie first.